listening to BBQ Central.
Start the game! Let's go!
We'll do it live. Okay. Well, do it live! I'll write it and we'll do it live!
So to get that perfect barbecue, you use wood. Are you sure it's safe? Whatever. We put the lighter fluid on, strike the match, and... Oh, should we call the fire department? That might be a good idea.
Afternoon and welcome to a special edition of the BBQ Central Show. Of course, as you know by now, this is a show where we traditionally talk about the happenings of the live fire industry. Normally a Tuesday evening live fire fun and frivolity show. However, we had a day this week and we do live fire fun and frivolity on a Wednesday at 3 p.m. Eastern. So, you know what time it is if you're a fan of the show. You know at some point during our few minutes together here during this live edition, we'll be revealing to you the final list of names, 9 final names that will be sent out and voted on, and 3 of those members, or 3 of those people on the list, will make up this year's 2021 BBQ Hall of Fame class. So the person that is going to help me do that, of course, is joining me now for the second year in a row, where we do the final names reveal. That, of course, is Emily Park from the American Royal, the event coordinator over there at the World Series of Barbecue. Hey, Emily.
Hi, how are you doing?
I'm great and happy to see you this year on video as well. So we continue to improve in all forms and fashions, which we certainly appreciate. And we are excited and grateful, of course, here at the show that you continue to partner with us and allow these exclusive programs. I know you guys are ready to blast out all of your correspondence as well to get these names out. So before we get into that and to allow a little bit of an audience build, why don't we go ahead and talk a little bit about the American Royal for the barbecue folks. We know that there's a really big competition and everybody wants to win that before they put out their fires and hang it up and call it a career. But what is the American Royal in its entirety, aside from just the barbecue competition?
Absolutely. Thank you for asking. So the barbecue has been around for about 42 years, but the American Royal is in its 122nd year is what we're going into this year. Started as a livestock show, a Hereford show, actually. So we still host a livestock show every year. So that's 121 years strong. And then additionally, we do rodeos, youth and pro rodeo, 5 to 10 equine shows a year, kind of depending on what we can fit in. And really all we do, our goal, our purpose here, the barbecue and all of these other events we do is it's fundraising. We are a nonprofit. Everything we do goes back to our nonprofit organization. And what we do is actually educate students and youth about agriculture, where their food comes from, jobs in agriculture, and then also help them get into college and scholarships and grants and anything we can do to continue the world of agriculture. We're just lucky that we have a lot of different outlets to make that happen.
As far as the barbecue competition itself, is that the main fundraiser for that scholarship program that you talked about?
Yeah, we've gotten pretty lucky because it's grown so big so fast. You know, only 40 years strong, but it is the world's largest. So the barbecue is our largest fundraiser of the year. So last year, with all the other things that had to be canceled, we did have to cancel the barbecue. So luckily, we were able to still get some money back to the kids and still get our mission going. But we're ready to go again this year.
All right. So do we have dates all set up for September where it usually is held?
We've got dates. Thank you. Right. The weekend of September 16th through the 19th at the Kansas Speedway in Kansas City, Kansas. So come on back. Everybody is welcome. Teams, if it's your first time joining, come compete. If you want to come down and just experience the world's largest barbecue, come on down. We'll have things to do. We're really excited that we're outdoors and we're going to be in September. So we hope everyone can join, and we're going to make sure to add extra safety and health elements so everyone feels great when they're out there.
All right. So can folks just go to the website and get general updates, or is that something where if you're a team and you sign up to compete this year, they're automatically included on a list that will just be sending out regular updates as needed?
You've got both. We're going to do both. So any teams that have signed up or planning on signing up, they will get updates from now until the moment we open the gates. We know with all events, things are changing kind of rapidly, and we're going to stay up to date on that. But then also, if you just kind of want to explore what we're doing, check our website. Right now we're a couple months out, so things are not as buttoned up as they will be. But we're working with our local and state officials to make sure that we do everything safe, to make sure everyone is on the same page and approve of what we're doing. So we'll be sure to send that to anyone involved so they're aware beforehand. I
know states all have their own operation going at this point. This coming weekend is like the lead into the majors. You have Memphis in May going off.
Yeah.
A couple weeks ago, the embedded correspondents and I were giving our own prediction on if that was actually going to happen or not. Most of us said it wasn't. Once again, proving we know nothing about what we talk about, and it is actually going to happen, much to the happiness and frivolity of everybody, let's say it in that way. Are you guys looking at how Memphis in May is going to operate this coming weekend and try and learn some things? I know there's a bunch of time that separates what's happening this coming weekend in September, but are there things that will transpire that you can learn and take away?
Absolutely. I think, the way our stance is that we want all barbecue competitions to happen. So we're all learning from each other. I think we're going to learn from the organizers. We're going to learn from the teams. We're going to learn from the judges. How did it go? I think with any event going on right now, it's a learning opportunity. And, that's it. We are lucky that we're going to get to benefit from that, but we're also thrilled they get to have the contest. So we're in full support of that. But like you said, Memphis is going to have different rules than Kansas City, Kansas, but it doesn't mean that we need to scrape by on making sure everyone feels safe. We're going to do everything to the max amount to make sure all of our safety procedures are there, regardless of, what all cities are doing.
All right, so I think we've let enough time lapse here, got a good background, and now we can get to the main event. Are you ready to help me unveil the list of 9 final names here?
I'm ready when you are.
All right, I am certainly ready. I know everybody else is ready. I can see it in the instant chat. As we say, no order specifically, just 9 names coming out. And perhaps before we start revealing the names, I hate to tease it and pull it back like a Bob Barker used to do on The Price is Right. Is there a way that you can just kind of briefly go over the process so that way we know, and then we can learn those names?
Absolutely. So the process is that we get hundreds of nominations all year round. And we have a nominating committee who their sole purpose is to take these nominations, review, and narrow it down to 9 finalists. You can look at who our nominating committee is. They're fantastic authors and historians in barbecue. They can talk about barbecue for days. So this is a great group of people who know every name on this list without even having to read about them. So they take the list and they narrow that down to 9. And then those 9 will be announced today, and then they go for a vote. And the vote is done by all living Hall of Fame members, as well as the nominating committee does get a vote as well. Once the vote is done and tallied, we announce the top 3, which is the inductee class. In addition to that, we will be inducting 2 legacy members again this year, and these are folks who have passed away. They are not in the running for the top 9. It is a separate category that we started last year to really honor the roots of barbecue and those who maybe have passed and paved the way, who don't have the fame and fortune now, but really did make us where we are today. So those will be announced on the 26th as well.
All right. So that's a good background on how this whole thing works. And in 2 weeks' time, we'll reconvene here on the show and announce those 3 members that'll be making up, and in addition, those 2 legacy members as well. So a 5 total. So let's go ahead and get after it. We will name the 9 now. So in no particular order, Emily, have at it.
Okay. And the 9 finalists for the 2021 BBQ Hall of Fame are William Arnold, or Bill Arnold, if you would, Ollie Gates, Meathead Goldwyn, John Marcus, Ed Mitchell, Rodney Scott, Joe Traeger, Darren Worth, and Leanne Whippen.
All right, so a very accomplished list, to say the least. As we go through, let me try and use my memory, if I can, and say, was Bill Arnold on the list of 9 last year?
Yes, actually 6 of the 9 were on the list last year. Good. So pretty fantastic list. I think if we could induct all 9, we would. Of
course.
But you can tell that there's a fight to get some of these names are so worthy of the honor.
All right, so we have Bill Arnold. It looks like Meathead. He's making it onto this list now for the 3rd year in a row. So a deep portion of me hopes that he does not cross over so he can continue to be the Susan Lucci of the BBQ Hall of Fame. Rodney Scott was on last year, if I recall correctly. Darren was on last year as well. Leanne, I believe, was on last year. So 6 are returning. Now, just to be clear, these aren't 6 holdovers from last year. If you didn't make it into the BBQ Hall of Fame, everybody got tossed back into that big named hopper, and then were almost re-argued for again for now a 2nd or 3rd year in a row.
Yep, that is exactly right. No one gets to hold their spot for a year into the next. We start fresh every year. The only thing that we do each year is that we hold nominations for 3 years' time. So if I were nominated this year, then my name would stay on the list to be argued about for 3 years. But for the finalist list, nope, we start at 0 and work our way to 9. And I will say it is not an easy process. It never is. It is. It's very wonderful arguments, but there are arguments on who and why this year and what have they done? Will they do more? I mean, every single year we get down to the nitty-gritty with basically each person.
How quickly are the majority of names? If you're getting, let's say, well, let me ask you a better question. How many unique names were in that big hopper this year?
So of the living index, so because we split it now, there's about 65 living. The list of legacy is close to about 40 now. So those lists have kind of offset each other in the last couple years. But that's just unique. I think we were well over 120 nominations just this year alone. So many of them may have 10 nominations for the from a lot of different people, which is actually wonderful too, because then you get different feedback or bios or, personal relationships, as well as maybe what they found out from a distance. So we learn a lot through that process too, about all the people, regardless of how many times they're nominated.
So of the 65 that are living that had an opportunity to potentially get on this list that we're talking about today, I mean, is it quick to say that 80% of them are quickly like, oh, here's this name, and off you go? And then there's 90% of the time that you guys are talking about names is spent on maybe 10 or less.
I would say we go through every name. That's the thing. We go in alpha order and we go through every name. We talk about every single name. Some have a longer conversation than others, but every single name is discussed regardless of how big their bio is or what someone knows. So our process is we try to narrow that first initial thing down about halfway, then do it about halfway again and about halfway again. And it just kind of keeps going. We might go through, let's say these top 9, they might have gotten discussed 10 times before they made it onto the top 9. to make sure that they're in that worthy category. So, like I said, it's not an easy process because it's just tough. Because I think I speak for the entire nominating committee. If they could just say, hey, let's just induct 50 this year, that would surely help.
Yeah, of course. We're talking with Emily Park, the event manager over at the World Series of Barbecue, and we have just named the 9 final names that have 3 of these will make it into the Barbecue Hall of Fame this year, the 2021 class. If you're just tuning in, Bill Arnold, Ollie Gates, Meathead from AmazingRibs.com, John Marcus, Ed Mitchell, Rodney Scott, Joe Traeger, Darren Worth, and Leanne Whippen. 6 of these 9 were on last year, and 1 was on even the year before that. And so here's what will happen. All these names will now be sent out to the living members of the Barbecue Hall of Fame. Also, the nominating committee will get a vote. And in 2 weeks' time, we will rejoin and hear who has bubbled up, or at least what 3 have bubbled up to become the 2021 Barbecue Hall of Fame names. And then we'll also add 2 legacy members as well. Have I missed anything, Emily? Is there anything else that you would like to add from a logistical standpoint that you guys go through during this whole process? I know a lot of people want to know how quickly my name was brought up, and then more importantly, how quickly it was dismissed again, because I know people are nominating me, but people want to know about that. So what can you leave us with here today?
Well, I can tell you, I've seen your nomination. We've definitely discussed you. And don't worry, you are not kicked out first. You're the second one. No, I'm just kidding.
As long as I'm not the first.
No, absolutely not. I mean, like I said, there are, as I said, unfortunately, there's no unworthy names on there. You get to talk to a lot of these folks on your show. I've seen so many of the people who are on the nominating committee, as well as Hall of Fame members, Hall of Fame finalists on your show. So, you know how this group is. It's too hard to say. To just narrow down to 3. I would leave you with this. So we are going to have this updated on our website today. We're also going to go ahead and open the nomination form for 2022. So, if you have someone that you're like, I don't know if they're nominated, I'd like to make sure that they're on that list, go ahead and nominate them. It doesn't hurt. We'll take multiple. We'll take 200 nominations from the same person. Get them in there. And we'll start working on that for 2022. Additionally, it's going to be a big year. Once we get down to our 3 plus the 2 legacies, since we were unable to be together last year, we'll be honoring the 2020 class and the 2021 class at the barbecue this year. So, you're going to see 6 folks and 4 other families. They're all worthy of this honor. It's going to be a big celebration, I think. A big old family reunion is the way I like to put it.
For the folks, this happens every year. They'll see the list, and then all of a sudden, all these names, so-and-so should be on this list, or why isn't this person in yet? I always make the argument to say, well, don't assume, as you just mentioned, that whoever you're talking about now was nominated. My first question is, well, did you nominate this person? Well, no. Okay, well, so that's number 1. Don't assume this person's been nominated. You pick up that ball and take it over the goal line. And number 2, and I would like you to speak on this just for a few minutes before we close out, I've seen some really crappy nominations. For me, people have forwarded me their nominations, and I'm like, well, why would they even spend 1 second on some of these answers? You've done me no justice in this. So, from a high level, you ask questions, you need answers. Maybe they're not names that just people readily know. So why not do your best sales pitch? What do you want to see? And please speak for the nominating committee as well, or the names committee. What do you want to see in these responses that you get back?
Absolutely. So we have a form that is the same questions for each person, basically. And I'm not going to say it exactly, but what have they given back to the barbecue community? Tell me some honors. Tell me what categories you would put them in. And that's limitless, meaning they're an author, they're a cook, they are an educator. It could be whatever you want to be. It could be one of 50 options or all of them. We just want to know what they've done. Tell us more. We're very lucky because the nominating committee spends a lot of quality time doing their own research when we get some nominations that maybe aren't full. So they do get some extra days to review. And if we have a nomination that someone didn't fill out completely, we'll do our own research to try to find it. Now, that's what's tough, is then that's us doing research, and we can't say if this person is worthy from, unfortunately, some of the things you find online. So if someone can send us the facts, that's what we want.
All right. This is Emily Park from the American Royal, manager over there at the World Series of Barbecue. Hit the website for info. Make sure that you're making plans to get out there, especially if you're a team. September 16th through the 19th are the dates, so sign up now. Tell all your friends to get down there, and we will stay tuned with you throughout the balance before it hits to get updates and promote whatever you would like. But always appreciate you reaching out to the show, supporting it, and doing special events like this. It's really great, and I appreciate it once more.
Thank you so much, and I'll see you in 2 weeks.
All right, there she is, Emily Park from the American Royal. 2 weeks from now, we will see who makes it in to the Hall of Fame, but another great list, undoubtedly. Once again, if you're just tuning in late, the 9 finalists are not members, 9 finalists. Bill Arnold from Blues Hog, of course. Ollie Gates, Meathead from AmazingRibs.com. John Marcus, Ed Mitchell, famous pitmaster. Rodney Scott, also famous pitmaster, now new author this year as well. Joe Traeger, ever heard of Joe Traeger, everybody? Who's he? Darren Worth, pitmaster of Iowa Smoky D's. And Leanne Whippen. Bill Arnold, Meathead, John Marcus, Rodney Scott, Darren, and Leanne are all on the list. Or, again, from last year, Meathead is actually a third holdover. This is his third year in a row on the list, so we'll see if this is his magic year of the third time being the charm, where he crosses over into the Barbecue Hall of Fame. So there you go. We are getting ready to load out. If you are a Clubhouse app haver, I don't know if you subscribe to that, or if you use Clubhouse, at 4 p.m., I will be doing my first Clubhousing, and we'll talk about the list, and we'll talk about who should get in and who shouldn't get in and who got left off. I'll be anxiously taking your question, thoughts, and views on that as well. So if you have the Clubhouse app, it's just rolling out for Android. That's how I got on it earlier this week. You can look up at 4 p.m. Eastern, and there's a 2021 Barbecue Hall of Fame thing. It's not recorded. I don't record it. So if you miss it, you miss it. And that's just the way Clubhouse works, I guess. That's the charm of it. So look for me at 4 p.m. Eastern over there on Clubhouse to further review here. And then, of course, in the coming weeks, we're obviously going to be talking about it with everybody that will be on the show. So let's get ready to roll out. We thank Emily Park, once again, manager over at the World Series of Barbecue. The website, BBQ, BARBECUE, BarbecueHallOfFame.com. We congratulate the finalists, Bill Arnold, Ollie Gates, Meathead, John Marcus, Ed Mitchell, Rodney Scott, Joe Traeger, Darren Worth, and Leanne Whippen. We'll see how the next 2 weeks play out in voting, and then we'll be back here on the 26th to announce the 2021 Hall of Fame class and then the 2 additional legacy members. Big show planned for you next Tuesday. Stephen Reichlin is in for his usual spot. We have a fast food reviewer celebrity coming on. And first-time quarterly guest, Susie Bullock from Hey Grill Hey will be joining me. So jam-packed show as always. Certainly appreciate you tuning in for this special edition of the Barbecue Central Show. And yes, it is live. We're closing out at 3:23 Eastern on a Wednesday. September 11th, 2001. I will never forget. And until this coming Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern, this is your program host and proud U.S. American, Greg Rempe. Good night now.
This is Dino Dan from Cypress, California, and you're watching the Barbecue Central Show.